Hello. Hello, everybody. Thank you for your patience. I know we're
Greetings.
cutting it mighty fine. But we are here. I'm trying to see the chat settings here, which Restream promised me I'd be able to put Discord in there, but I can't see
Restream
it.
promises things, and yeah. What time is it for you there, Simon?
It is 10:57 p.m.
Nice. It is 3 minutes to 5 a.m. here for me. Love it.
It's very, very early and getting late for me. Hey,
That's right.
we've got
Some of your bridge firmware has been written at 4 a.m. So
Good. We got the most people we've ever had on a stream here, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Thanks
hello
so much for
everyone.
watching.
Cool. So the editor's about to go live. 8 a.m. here. Greg, you're either New Zealand. NZ. Yeah, they're 3 hours.
Unless it's 8 a.m. yesterday.
No, because yes, but NZ's the first capital city I think to hit New Year's. So yeah, the whole sort of point of this live stream was not so much that we have a bunch of content planned and prepared. Is my level okay? I'm just trying to talk a little quietly.
Yeah, it's really good.
Okay, great. Not necessarily because we have a bunch of content planned, but we do have some stuff we want to share, but mostly we just want to be available for you guys when this thing goes live because we've done substantial testing and we've checked a lot of things, but there's no doubt going to be some things that arise and issues that weren't caught because it's the first time it's been released to that many people, and also we've got a huge list of stuff that we want to add, we want to fix up, we want to improve on, and there's a lot of stuff we're aware of. So being able to share that with you guys might help if you have some questions, but also we want to get some more direct feedback and be able to respond kind of on the fly and chat and interact with you guys and just say hi. It's really nice to just catch up with people, even virtually.
Yeah, and I also don't want. It's been such a long, particularly because it's been such a long road. It's a celebration. Yeah. Finally, we got this.
I also don't want to wake up to like 300 emails. So. We're doing this. Yeah, apologies if I'm sniffly. It's like hay fever.
All right. Well, we promised 5 a.m., which is in
make them wait.
So let me.
So I've got a bridge 4 here that I've been playing around with on the just tangle wise. Bridge 4 here I've been playing around with on the editor, and it's really nice. So I've got a bridge 6 as well, obviously, and we can help you guys out with whatever. 5 a.m.
All right. The web editor button on learn.piratemidi.com has just been updated, and the editor link in the navigation menu on piratemidi.com has just been updated.
Hey Simon, I'm on the editor page on our site, and it still has a countdown with 15 minutes left.
Yeah, because the page link is not the same. You have to go to the navigation menu. So refresh your page, and the nav link editor now goes to a different URL.
No, I pushed cache on the editor page. Sweet. So jump on in. Now you do have to sign up. We don't do this together. Any data or info, we do it so that we built all of the kind of the account management architecture into there from day dot, such that it can save your profiles and presets. We're still fleshing some of that functionality out, so bear with us. But we want to add use a device library, so you can create your own custom device library entries tailored specifically to what you're using. So if you have like a H9 which doesn't have any pre-assigned default MIDI mappings, then you can create your own and save them in your profile. So it's quite nice.
Yeah.
But logging in with Google or something like that's probably going to be the lowest friction point for most people.
Yeah, that's right.
And we don't collect any user data for emails or anything like that from that.
No. But if you've got a Bridge 6, 99% of you, we have your email already anyway. So
family visiting in Italy. If that's not, sorry, Ma, I just need to put my laptop in this strange black box at the table while we eat dinner. I'm not here. No, all good, Imran. Looking forward to hearing from you, mate. Hope you're well. So yeah, I might share my screen and we can incognito tab that such that there is nothing incriminating. I'll walk people through and we can, all right. Let's go some. Is that going to work? Nope, that's all right. Let me.
All right, I'm just keeping an eye on people's comments, etc.
Please do.
Making sure everyone is.
Indianapolis. Hey, mate. How you doing? Great to have you here. Thanks so much for all your support and tuning in.
Nice.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Like 2K screen, and then OBS is on a 1080 output. Let's do that. Where's my front camera going?
Don't know, but I will do this and put you there.
Okay.
And take the chat off for a bit.
Thank you, OBS.
Screen. There we go.
Thank you so much. You're wonderful.
We got you. We got you.
All right, there we go. There we go. I'm good now. I'm good.
Lovely.
Maybe OBS sorted itself out. So, Someone, do you want to chuck me up for a second? I'm going to kind of walk through just in case people are struggling where to find things, especially with the new site.
Yeah, I don't know if I can hide myself.
Oh man, I'm about to sneeze so badly. I apologize for everyone.
Let me mute you for a second.
Aha.
Is that better? I muted you for a second while you finished that off.
Thank you, honestly. I mowed the lawn on the weekend. It just slayed me. So, editor.
Is there any way you can move your webcam to the bottom left rather than the bottom right?
Here I am.
Sweet. Done. Cool.
All right.
Excellent.
So, I've got the editor here. Now, you're going to want to chuck in, like, log in with an email or something like that. I am going to switch back to my face so that I can sign in with my Google account and you all can't see it. You know, I don't think that's outrageous, to be perfectly honest with you. Then you can just whack an email address and password if you like, and away you go. Or sign in with Google. If there's any other options that you really want to have there for sign in, then let me know. But alas, now we are here. So you pretty much get greeted with these three options where we've already got sort of prototypes of this that we've got sort of some different options in the works. But for now, you either import from device, which will grab all of the current settings from your device and bring them in, or you can import from a file if you're, you might be sharing profiles with other people. And so you can just grab their file, import that. You need to make sure it's the same device though, or create from a template. Now we've only got a couple of sort of templates now. So we'll go Bridge 4, blank, which is just, there's nothing in there. It's, blank canvas for you to start with, or factory default, which is as the name implies. So if I go import from device, Now I can choose this bridge 4. Oh, sorry, a little pop-up box because it's my window, not my screen. A little pop-up box here will show. And you just want to select bridge 4, bridge 6 accordingly.
And then press connect.
So it's going to synchronize everything, pull all your data in. And here we go. So I've kind of set up some duplicate stuff. Now, one thing that is actually a little interesting I've noticed, probably is a bit of a bug, but if you have a look at my bridge, I don't know, sorry for the glare, how well that's going to work. But on foot switch 4, I've actually got a switch set up as sequential, right? And I've got just some nonsense steps, juicy and juicier up here. But this is just showing big verb, and that's because the name of the foot switch is big verb. I was sort of duplicating these. But the foot switch name, so if we click on any foot switch, and it'll take you to the foot switch settings here. It's sequential, and then in messages, each message has these step names. And so it seems like it's not going to show the current step name. It'll just overwrite that with the foot switch name. So yeah, that's something that I'll log right now, and we'll fix up. Sean, messing with the editor now since I have to rebuild my Ableton switch setup. Yeah. Are many of you guys rocking Ableton-based setups, by the way? It'd be interesting to know. All right, so I'm doing
Ableton's probably the best DAW for using MIDI, in my experience. Not that I have heaps of experience with Ableton itself, but in terms of MIDI, it's definitely got the best controls I've ever used with a DAW. Logic is an absolute nightmare, and Pro Tools just crashes all day, every day.
Pro Tools. Oh dear. I'm going to mute myself 1 second. Micro sounds.
I'm just reading some messages over on the Discord server, making sure that everyone's able to get their firmware updated. I added a new forum today, which is called Firmware Update App, so that and added a post there and pinned it so that you can get the links really easily for our new update app. It's also on the learn.piratemidi.com website on the firmware update page. Makes it a lot easier now. So basically just remember, like that message at the bottom of the screen is saying, remember to connect your flexi ports together with a TS or TRS cable when doing a firmware update. It basically just makes that much more. There's just a small chance when they're not connected that it is something with the pins being open, it interrupts the process of the USB recognizing the device as being in firmware update mode. So connecting it together just fixes that up. Using my Bridge 4 to provide some extra control for my Headrush MX5 plus a Source Audio Collider in the effects loop. Sweet. Yeah, man, those multi-effects units are beastly nowadays. I really enjoyed getting to know my HX Stomp.
I haven't played around with the MX5. Actually, what would you say some of the sort of like positive points of it compared to something like your Stomp, your FM3, so on and so forth? The Boss, GTK,
Yeah.
Oh man.
Also on the learn.piratemidi page, I've added a community tab, which we've embedded the Discord server into. But the cool thing about that is you don't actually have to log in or create an account with Discord to use that. You can just type in your name. It can be a pseudonym, whatever you like, and then you can use the Discord server, which is really cool. The forums aren't yet implemented because they're quite new, the forums feature in Discord, so they're not available. But if you have a support question or something like that, please feel free to put that in the general chat or the software or hardware channel or something like that. That's a really cool new thing that we've done so that we can sort of combine a lot of the support, feature requests, sharing of template files now that the editor's out, that kind of thing, just general collaboration. It's a really cool platform to be able to have that all in one app, and just being the two of us, it's really helpful for Sam and I to be able to just go to one app and deal with tech support and chat and announcements and updates and all that.
The Discord forums are a fairly new feature, so they haven't integrated forums with it yet, but that'll be coming. And the idea is we were just looking at some different ways to have that support forum as accessible to people with a very small friction point. I was chatting with pardon me. I was chatting with Donald and Michael. I'll leave it their last names, even though they're in Facebook, but of Spicy Facebook post fame. Great guys, though. It was really good to get to chat to them, and they had a couple of suggestions on how we could sort of decrease the friction of sort of getting to that support point. And it's tricky because there are, some really good forum tools that you can embed in your site, like discourse.org. And they're not bad. The trouble with those is that they're pricey. And not pricey in the sense that they themselves cost a lot. It's that they are very singular in their usage. What I mean by that is, so Discourse, the basic tool is $100 per month. And there's some limitations with that, then it goes up to 200, so on and so forth. And that's $25 US per week. And that's not a lot of money at all. It may be, but in terms of running a business scale, it's not a lot of money. The issue is that just gets you forum. Then let's say, you're doing your e-commerce, your website, that's another 25, so $50 a month or something, whatever. Then you need this subscription for managing some automation, that might be another 10. Then you've got this, then all sorts of things. If you want to have a larger file limit, we're looking at boosting our server, then that's an extra maybe $30 a month. And it adds up to the point where it's really easy to say, well, that's just a small amount. Then suddenly you've got hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars per month of bloat sort of add-ons that maybe you really could get by without needing them until you've evaluated all of your options. So that's why we went with the Discord forums, and we're gonna see how it goes.
Yeah, we really appreciate so many of you jumping in. We've already got way more than we had in the Slack community, so that's really cool.
Yeah. Plus, it sounds good. It does sound good. Possible to use a tablet. It is. It certainly is. We just haven't done a lot of work at this point for like mobile device optimization, in particular touchscreen support. So it'll run on your tablet, no worries. It's mostly that we haven't really fleshed out and tested that optimization yet. So there's kind of no guarantees. The other issue is it uses a USB serial interface to communicate with the device. So depending on the actual tablet, the age, the what brand and operating system it's running. Basically with the smaller screen sizes, we haven't optimized the UI for the different screen size breakpoints yet. So if you load the website up on a phone, you'll find everything's a bit oversized at the moment. But we figured most people are going to be sitting down doing a big editing session on a laptop or a computer and just sort of getting their whole, at least initially, getting their whole config set up. But but I will add it's on the to-do list for sure. A really good mobile experience is something we're working on, because I think the use case for that is, you're at a gig, you're at somewhere, wherever it is, you need to make your changes. Let's say you chuck an extra song into the set list, right? And you want to just rename a bank to match the name of that song or whatever it is. You want to be able to just whip out your phone, change that, and hit go. And I think that's just really low hanging fruit, right? So it's on the to-do list, along with being able to connect via using like witty jacks or different things like that. Well, all on the roadmap. All right, just checking the forums.
Yeah, me too. I'm just downloading that image to see what it is.
Sean, looks like the online mentor is missing the -2 octave support. I know I had a 4 on the bridge 4 before I had to. Editor's missing -2 octave support. I might just be thick, but I'm not 100% what you mean by that. Sorry, Sean. If you could clarify. Oh, do you mean for MIDI notes? So if we go into the messages here, let's pick press custom message note on channel, whatever, note E. Gotcha. Okay. Cool. We'll take a look. Right, I'm going to double check. It may be a naming thing.
Bridge 4 updated, working on the 6 now. Nice work.
Very nice.
Nice work, Michael. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate your compliment.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
I'm by no means a UI expert, but it's really helpful to have had the input from a handful of people over the last 2.5 months.
What was that? Sorry, that was kind of funky. Thanks, OBS. Love your work.
Yeah, I totally get the button pushing fatigue, Casey. It's really tiring on the fingers. Those switches are really designed for feet, not fingers. And trust me, we know when we're testing bugs and doing like the exact same sequence of button presses, like 50 times in a row, and just changing one little thing here or one little thing there. I was bugging Sam for months to do the press to hold and scroll on the switch naming and stuff. I was so happy when it was finally in there. It was so good.
Can I just say, Restream sorted out the scroll like in the chat, because it's so small. I've got it side screen. I might have to bring it over here. There's no scroll bar, so you're relying on your mouse cursor resolution. Okay, so a couple of questions here. I may have missed something. Any updates on device link? It's a good question, and we'll get to that give us sort of 5 minutes for some more people to work their way around the app, because we're going to cover that we've got sort of some roadmap announcements and things like that to cover off, but I will 100% get right back to you. Will future versions of Ahoy read and display the current version of the connected pedal? Should.
I don't think it displays the current firmware version.
Oh no, I know exactly what you're talking about. You're right. It doesn't at this point. Sorry, it was an oversight. We had it in there, and then it went for a walk in the release version. So coming back. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you can just check it on the bridge before you put it into update mode. So. Shouldn't be a problem. Just in case I have to go before this ends, will it be available later for reply?
It won't. This stream won't, but shoot us a message on Discord or in the forum or an email or whatever. We prefer Discord, to be clear.
Sorry, what do you mean? These streams will be available to play back on YouTube and Facebook just by default.
It said later for reply, so I'm assuming with us getting back to them on this stream.
Oh right, yeah. These comments probably won't roll through them all.
Unless it's a typo when you meant replay. Yes, it will be available for replay.
Yay! There we go. Replay, good.
Yeah, absolutely. This will be there. one thing I do recommend is, even if you're coming from like one of the beta versions, I really recommend updating your firmware, syncing it with the app, saving that to a backup file or something, then doing a full factory reset on your device, then sending that back to your device. If for no other reason, then there are a couple of really weird edge cases to do with FlexiPort initialization during startup in like combinations of some of the modes. This is separate from what you were talking about, Simon, but where just like having that correct initialization in place, then sort of booting up into whatever your firmware dictates, sort of completely clear the issue. And it's just this weird, very hard to track down temporary sort of bug. So if you are experiencing some of that, I'd say just create a backup, fully reset it, and then load it back up onto the device. When is the editor actually available? The editor's been available for about 25 minutes there. If you just go to our main site, refresh the page, there's a link to the editor button. You may just want to hit Control F5 or whatever is appropriate for your computing platform to just fully refresh the page in case you're caching a version of that.
Yeah. Okay. So it looks like we've got all the posts in Discord up to date there.
Very good.
Lovely, lovely. Wonderful. Well, this is.
Can you guys go buy some microloops so I can fund my tissues at the moment? Oh man, we are going through so many boxes. When you go through so many boxes, you got to buy the good stuff. You got to buy like the Kleenex aloe vera that doesn't turn into sandpaper.
Yes.
Send tissues.
Let's show off some device library, Sam.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're in here.
We're going to scroll through that big list of devices.
We've got some crunchy. You guys are going to love this. I'm sure you've explored it, but I'm going to go toggle on. All right. Now I've got some default. Let's kick that. I don't want your scrubby message. Device library. This is the good stuff. If you like device library, I would like you to send hearts, reacts, and everything possible to Simon. He spent about 6 months of his life in Excel spreadsheets and online manuals. Basically, he would compile the list of every device we knew had MIDI, asked people every MIDI device. Then he just looked up the manuals, went to the MIDI area, brought them on in, checked, tested, rechecked. So device type, most of y'all are effects junkies. So we're going to go into effects. Manufacturer. Oh, look at that list.
Just to be clear, I started working on this idea before either of, well, not either, but any of the other companies that ended up implementing an idea like this actually launched it. So we all kind of had a similar idea at the same time, but
we chatted about this at like the start of 2020, I think.
Yeah, ours is about 10 times bigger in terms of the actual database than others, mostly because we actually put amps and synths in as well.
Yeah,
but software. There are a lot of effects. The software is really just a couple of main stage templates. Because most software is soft assigned. They don't usually have defaults.
Well, if not, they'd call it hardware. That was such
what I mean. Yeah, okay. All right. Come on, Mr. Engineer.
Oh dear. Before I do this, just quickly, so someone said, having some weirdness. One sync went well, then changed one thing, went sync it again, and it just sort of overlaid the screen with black and didn't do anything. I refreshed, it kicked me back to the start screen. Tried to import from the device and just at the black screen again. Like unplugging, replugging the unit, solve some issues. Interesting. Did you like do a factory reset and everything else sort of your, or were you coming from like a beta version or from one of the earlier stable releases plugging in? Okay. Yeah, just let me know. But anyway, on with a device library. Simon, this guy is not seeing an active editor.
Mr. Kirkland said he's not seeing anything. I'm not sure what he means, whether he just whether he missed a bit about logging in. Mr. Kirkland, you will need to create an account so that in the future, when we add the user, like you can save all your own presets in your own account, basically. There'll be custom device library things. There'll be custom entire device profiles, that kind of thing. That's all the account is for, so that you can have all that there. So that's built in there, all the frameworks there. We just have to actually add that.
And just to be clear, that's not far away too. We actually had some prototypes of a lot of that working nicely. We just stripped them back from the release build of the app, just to match, so we could run them through kind of the final gauntlet of testing. But yeah, so coming back here, we've got effects, manufacturer. Look at all this. Pretty much anything with MIDI and with a MIDI map, aka you can go to the manual and it says this control change number does this. Whereas something like a H9 is soft assign, which pretty much means here's all the stuff you can do. You have to assign MIDI messages to it. Yeah. And so everyone's going to be different. So there's no way really to have that. And that's where the user library will really come in handy. So let's look at the kernel. People loving the kernel right now. I clicked off it because I'm incompetent. Kernel. Ridge, they obviously only have one device. Command, I actually haven't looked at what they can do. So cool. So you pretty much just got direct control over the pots, then expression, and the foot switches by the looks of it.
Yep.
So post tone. So it's automatically going to load up the default channel for that particular pedal, which is 1 in this case. It's CC number 23. And because we're mapping to a control, it's asking us to put a value in, and it's saying what the available range is for that pedal. So
for that particular command. So some knobs might just be as 0 to 7 or something for 8 different presets, and it will show you exactly what that range is. Some things have like weird ranges, like 0 to 23 or something like that. So it's really handy to have that there, just so you don't have to pull that manual out at all.
Some funky town knobs for sure. So then we can select our outputs. So the first device I went to was the Ridge. Awesome. So, let's just say I'm just rocking the TRS. And because I'm on a bridge 4, that's going to say TRS because it's 3.5 millimeter. If I'm on a bridge 6, that should say DIN 5 for the output. So we can go save. Oh, sorry, 150. I'm a potato. 150 is not within 0 to 127. So let's keep looking. Effects. I think one thing I did make a note of is it would be nice if effects popped up as the default, because it's just one less click you have to do. Most people are going to be looking for effects. But line 6, it's give the people what they want, right? Stomp. You're setting up a looper setup, right? You want to hit record, control number. There's only really one thing for record, so it's just going to put it in there. And let's say we got a flexi port there. All right, we'll save that. Bamity bam. Now we can go close.
Worth mentioning that. I was just going to say, worth mentioning that once you put the message in, at the moment, it just appears from now on as the MIDI data, but we are looking at ways to cleverly implement a way to retain that device library entry. So there's only a certain range of MIDI CCs.
Does it not do that already?
No. So if you go back to that message, it'll just say CC23, whatever. And especially when you import back in,
gotcha.
Especially when you import from device, it has no way of knowing that it's from a device library thing. So we've just been thinking about ways to make that work really.
We do actually
in a way that makes sense.
Just to clarify something, we do actually have that working. It's just not in this build.
Cool.
So the way that works is there's like some that's kind of has been taken care of and thought about. So when you're sort of synchronizing to and from the editor, as long as you haven't kind of modified those messages on board the device, it'll recognize what those what the device library entries are. So that's coming probably in the next revision of the app, so pretty soon.
Sweet. I missed that conversation, I think. Awesome. Very cool. Well, the people have gone silent. I'm not sure if they're too busy playing. They probably are. I think that's the most likely. Discord's gone quiet as well. I reckon you just start building some stuff, Sam, so that people who watch it later can have a good idea of what's in there, features, etc. Your mic's gone. Oh, yeah, there it is.
I said to mute it while I was like lowbrow dying over on the side here.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So
we'll let you have a sleep in tomorrow.
Well, because I was going to say we actually have more watches now than we did like 10 minutes ago. So
yeah,
all right,
it's great.
A couple of things. Bank settings. Here you've got all of the bank level settings that are typically available. So bank messages. Now, I won't go through too much what the bank messages are, but what I will do is talk through some of the new features, because I'm aware that not everyone is going to be coming from a beta version. To a lot of people, their bridge now looks quite different, which is totally fine. So I might walk through some of the brand spanking new features that I think are really, really cool. So these have been around for a while, but bank messages, basically, they get sent when you load up a bank, so you can kind of synchronize the rest of your gear as you're changing banks. That's separate to the kind of the automatic program change sending that you can enable. That's also really useful, but you can, just like any other message, you get those bank messages. Now, bank level expression messages, because each FlexiPort can do obviously 2 expression pedals via an expression doubler that converts it into a 3.3 volt control voltage. You can have up to 4. Then aux switches. So unlike before, where previously the aux switch, you sort of assigned a function to it, it might be bank up, something like that. Now you just assign a message to it. So you've got the tip, the ring, and the tip plus ring available. So I don't have it there. It's got an aux switch, but it's in my music room, which is next to my son's bedroom, who is asleep. So yeah, for each one, you get 2 message options for now. So press messages and hold messages. So you can put one in each of those, which allows you to do whatever you want with your aux switch. So 2 aux switches, 2 FlexiPorts. Switch groups. This is where stuff gets really cool. So switch groups are a way for you to create interactive clusters of switch behaviors. What do I mean by this? Take a HX stomp where you have snapshots, and this is a really simple example, but it illustrates it fairly well. You have 3 foot switches. When you press on one, it will turn off another one if it's on. So you can only have one active at a time, and that's a behavior where when you turn one switch on, it turns the rest of them off. Okay. So group 3, you get 8 groups, and these basically just give you 8 different clusters of settings to create these interactions. This is per bank. This is all per bank. So we'll add some members, and members is either the primary or the secondary role of the foot switch, and that's also quite new in that now you have the primary action of the foot switch and also the secondary action. The secondary action can be hold or double tap events, either momentary or toggle for either of those. And you can also map those to aux switches, so you can actually really easily double the number of foot switches, or even go from a bridge 4 to like a bridge 10 using passive aux switches if you want. So on the switch group, we choose the switch name. Simon, I don't know if you can jot this down as I'm just going through this. Just yes. Make a note. It'd be nice to have the foot switch number next to these names as well.
To which names?
The foot switch name is just next to the wherever there's a foot switch setting. I think let's add that in. Oops, sorry, I didn't mute my
mic. Next to names in dialog boxes, yeah. creating smart messages. Yeah, sweet. Sounds excellent. Sorry if I'm a bit distracted. I'm helping people out with firmware stuff in Discord.
He's a good guy. All right, so let's choose, this foot switch crunch, primary or secondary. So whether it's the primary side or the secondary side, left or right side of the LED indicators. Primary. Broadcast. Now, this means, and we're going to do full videos on this, so if this is a bit of a brief overview, don't worry too much. I've got a lot of content planned. Is it going to, so when you trigger that switch, is it going to send that event to the other foot switches in the group? Is it going to receive events only, or will it do both? So transmit and receive, because we want this switch to be able to control other switches in the group as well as be controlled. Now, respond to. This basically says what types of events it's going to respond to. Now, if this is on transmit only, this respond to obviously is kind of irrelevant. It's not going to do anything. But when it's on either of the receive options, this means it can respond to off events. When you toggle a switch off, it can do something. On or off, likewise. Now, response. This one's a little bit confusing. I think we could probably make the wording or the verbiage around this a little better. But once you understand the concept, it's fairly straightforward. So what this is doing is it's basically saying, all right, we've set these event parameters up. So inside this switch group, when it
just quickly, Sam, I wrote it out pretty clearly and just sort of straightforwardly, like how it works in the user manual. It's like a few sentences for each one. So that should maybe help you if you're feeling a bit confused by it.
Yeah, sweet. Man, I sound so nasally because I'm just mouth breathing everywhere. So once you've set these up, right, so your foot switch is this is kind of how it behaves how it plays nicely with the other kids. So it's going to respond to on or off events. Now, what is that response? Well, it can be on. So in other words, when another switch turns on or off and it's sending that, it just turns on no matter what. Or it turns off no matter what. Or perhaps it's a little bit smarter and it toggles no matter what. But I hear you say, what if you want to synchronize the states of your foot switch as well? And is basically going to mirror the setting of whatever the event is. So another foot switch turns off, it turns off. Another foot switch turns on, it turns on, no matter what. Or is sort of the complementary option of that. So another foot switch turns on, it turns off. So it's flip-flopping with the other switches. All right. By itself, it's not going to do anything because there's no other members of the switch group for it to interact with. But you can add 8 members per group and you have 8 groups. So one of the really cool implementations of this, which we're working with a particular Looper head and UI whiz at the moment to create some nice templates for, is Looper setups, right? So you imagine when you press one foot switch, right? What you want to have happen is, let's say you're starting to play a new loop or you're dubbing or something. You want that change to affect what the other foot switch is doing and what options are available on it, whether you're going to have stop, record or dub or play or, or change, the sound that you're going to record with. All those sort of options need to change on the fly. So you can really quickly create these really powerful interactions there. So that's really cool. Like I said, we'll do some more in-depth content on that. This is more of an overview. But we probably should actually look at the new switch stuff because it's huge. You now got these secondary toggle on and toggle offs if your switch mode is in toggle. So you got these switch modes and you've got some new ones. We've got sequential. Sequential is really cool. Sequential allows you to basically cycle through a sequence of messages. Now, that kind of sounds boring. Some other MIDI controllers do that. It's really cool. So set the direction, forward, reverse, or pendulum, whether it kind of tick-tocks between the start and stop points. So we'll put forwards, repeat, whether it just repeats the last 2 messages, the last 3, or all. So you can sort of go through this big, long sequence and then just repeat the last couple, really good for looping through parts of a song or, again, looper templates, all that sort of stuff. Send, all right. We are planning a bit of an overhaul of this, but the concept, will stay. Basically, whether you want to send it all the time, so whenever you go to that next sequence, is it going to send all the messages for that sequence, or is it just going to load them up and queue them such that then when you trigger the secondary action, then it will send them. So that's good for really getting tight timing based stuff down. So you might, it's quite handy. So we've set this up as sequential. Now we go into messages and we have this sequential stack become available. And this is where it's really cool. So we've got 3 new steps here by default. That is interesting, Simon. Could you jot this down? It looks like when I load up a sequential foot switch, I've already got one sequential foot switch set up. Then when I set up a new one, it kind of copies some of the config from that other switch and loads it up. Ideally, it probably should set up as a blank sequential config. Because if you look at on my other foot switch here, it's got 3 steps. I'm not sure if that actually hold off because that might not be a thing. Or I didn't save what I was doing. So cool. Sequential switches. So we've got some steps. So you add steps to your sequence, right? So each step can have a unique label. Each step can have a unique color. So really cool. Then you can have 16 steps, and each step can have messages assigned to it. So there's 16 message slots. So this is where there's a lot of freedom and flexibility for how you want to use it. You get 16 messages, MIDI messages total. If you only have 4 steps, you can have 4 messages per sequence. If you have 16, then you only get 1 message per sequence. So it's kind of, you can really play around with it however you want. So you can add a new step, add the label, test step, we'll add a color. We've got these default colors built into the device, and then we've got custom colors that you can assign the global settings. So for now, we'll just put a nice yellow.
And what looks messages? Like the YouTube chat isn't coming through for some reason, Sam. So let me just...
Has there been like a bunch of YouTube chats that we've just not missed?
Yeah, we did. It just seems to have... It just seems to have cut out at some point.
I'm so sorry, YouTube chat. We love you.
Yeah, sorry about that. Ahoy has upset my Norton security and I can't get it working. Usually deep in the settings of Norton, you are able to add things as an exception to be allowed to run. If you're also running Norton on Mac, God help you. Yeah, but
I say this not
you're
to
going
be...
to have to. Sorry, yeah, go.
I was going to say, I say this, please, like not to be disparaging at all, but a lot of antivirus software, especially Windows Defender, does a reasonable job. The best defense, this is very off topic, the best defense against malware and whatnot is just be careful with your web browsing, but it's going to cause issues when you're talking about like device update utilities and all sorts of stuff, because what that app is really saying is like, hey, I want to access some low level hardware in that USB and I want to send some stuff to it, and I'm not really sure what it is you want to send, so it may cause some issues. We're also just working on device signing, so when you install it, it will say, oh, we're not sure who this developer is. Are you sure you want to install? We're getting that taken care of, so it automatically just plays nicely with the digital signing. But so are there any chats of...
Yeah, so just quickly, Bob on YouTube, you don't need to have a TRS connection in the FlexiPorts when you're using the editor. That's only for updating the firmware while it's trying to enter that firmware update mode where the screen goes blank. That's not necessary using the editor.
So use the editor how you wish.
Yep. But restarting the Bridge 6 fixed his problem.
I hear that.
And Matthias said, is reordering possible? Presumably when we're looking at the message stacks. So just click and drag to reorder, I imagine.
Gotcha.
That's purely an outside thing.
It's not at the moment, but yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we want to add, such as kind of that kind of click and drag reordering, especially in preparation for making a really nice mobile experience. That's there's a lot of stuff like that we're working on.
Yeah, so copy and pasting individual messages, switch configs, entire banks, that's all really high priority because that's a huge quality of life feature.
Matthias, sorry, Simon. I feel very bad. I don't know how to pronounce your stage name. Sorry, it's Pripyat. You know how I'm talking. Norton, not that Pirate MIDI is Bitcoin mining. Yeah, you are not wrong. If you're not aware, Norton, basically their new software is, it says we're going to install on your computer and we've got this new one-click mining option where basically we're going to shoot all your computer's resources to mine cryptocurrency, and we're going to take most of it and give you a tiny bit. So we're going to use more power on your computer just to crypto mine on your hardware in the background and really bog down your computer.
Yeah, Chris, we're getting all the Facebook messages. It just seems that YouTube chat disconnected from our chat thing that's aggregating all the different streams. So now I'm swapping between Discord, YouTube, and our streaming software to keep up with the comments.
Simon, go easy on YouTube. All right, look, it's clear they've had to increase the number of ads that they show. They're not making any money. They're really the scrappy little guy. Okay, can you just
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Cut YouTube a little bit of a break. Okay, I think YouTube needs all our help and support right now.
They should just be very grateful that I've had YouTube Premium for like 3 years, because I would not be paying for it just because they started serving me more ads.
That was sarcasm, by the way. YouTube's doing just fine. Just fine.
Oh, yeah. Doing very well.
Okay. Just trying to think. So let's go into the global settings. We've got new FlexiPort options, by the way. So in the FlexiPorts, you now get all sorts. So you can choose exactly what type of MIDI you're going to be sending. So whether it's, type A, type B, MIDI on the tip, MIDI on the ring, device link, all these nice things. We added support for the Morningstar relay interface. If you're only just joining us, we did do a live stream actually tearing this down. This was our very first Teardown Tuesday, where we had a customer actually reach out and ask about this, whether it could work with his FlexiPorts. And I had to say, look, I'm not sure. I haven't tested it. So we went and picked one up, tore it down, fully reverse engineered to understand how it works. And yes, we added a specific mode. So if you go relay out and you're using one of these things, then bueno, all taken care of. We, of course, would suggest that our very humble Click relay interface offers some rather unique advantages, and is, anyway, let's not go there. Check out the Click if you want a relay interface. And
it's in the device library too.
Sure is. We're big fans of just playing, because we couldn't find any documentation on this as well. There wasn't any info on the actual workings of it. It's just meant to work with their Omniport, so we did need to do a bit of reverse engineering and wrangling to get that info. So it's all built in there for you. Smart messages. Smart messages, these are really cool. Smart messages. Here we go. I was freaked out. Smart messages. When you add I was like, they're not in the editor. No, they're here. So smart messages are awesome. Smart messages are a way that you can, and we can, like as the developer, I can really quickly add new functionality to what you want to be able to do with your messages. So for example, you've got all these different types of smart messages, and you add them to any message stack just the same as you would a mini message, but they're intended to control internal functions of the device so that you don't need to do like MIDI loop back and take up ports and all sorts of stuff. So with a smart message, we can do all these things. So TRS switch out, all right? So if you're in the switch out mode, how you use that is you just add a smart message. So switch out, FlexiPort 1. We'll turn the ring. So it's going to short the ring to the sleeve now. Smart message. Oh, hang on. We've got, we can go to bank, so you can set up specific foot switches for bank navigation, however you like. You can fully control like your sequential steps and where you are in that cycle, as well as scrolling. You can go to EXP steps, so you can use smart messages to cycle through expression message targets. So let's say you have 8 messages assigned to an expression pedal. You can set up so you set up a sequential switch to cycle through these smart messages, and then that way you can use that switch and bang, you can use the label, you can put exactly what you're controlling, and you can cycle through which message is being sent for that expression pedal. So you can do really cool stuff. So one expression pedal can be 16 different things. It's really cool.
Hey, I've just put a link in the chat to all the different places. It's a link to a post in our Pirate MIDI users group. Tommy Columbus posted a short video of him using bank navigation smart messages and LED states to make this really cool menu system.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. So just with a bit of thought and a few clicks, you can set up, and with so many banks, like I'm assuming most people aren't using 100 banks. So you can use a few of those banks and with like fill up a couple of banks with bank navigation smart messages, and then you change all the switch labels, and then you can have this really quick menu system to flick you around to different songs or set lists or whatever. It's really cool.
It's really awesome.
It's so easy.
Smart messages are great. Down here you'll notice report bug request features. So please, if there's features you want to see in here, we're only just getting started. This is the very first release. We know it took us a while to get to this point. It's not necessarily that we spent 2 years just developing this. There's a lot more to it, but we have a huge list of features and roadmaps that we want to get to, and we're going to be getting on it. So if there's features you want to see brought in, then speaking of roadmap, Simon, do you think it's probably a good point to start talking about some of the features that we have planned and things like that and where we're going?
Yeah, for sure. So
was there something else you wanted to talk about?
No, that's cool. Yeah, one of the main ones, which I mentioned just before, some of the things that we want to get done ASAP in the editor is copy pasting for the messages, switches, and entire banks, as well as reordering banks. They're super high on priority. And as Sam also mentioned, we've also nutted out the retaining the device library information to and from the device if the message hasn't been changed. So that's really cool. So it'll keep the name of the device and command and everything when you're in the app. The device library data isn't stored or able to be viewed on the device. It's just a lot of data. And the other thing which we also mentioned is the user profiles and templates. And something someone else brought up the other day was the idea of copying something from one profile, like a bank from one profile into a separate profile. We haven't started working on that, but that's definitely something. So if you're sharing a template around, to be able to import a file that just has a specific bank that you want, or a couple of banks, and to be able to copy that into a different template.
Yeah. And that actually shouldn't be too hard. The way I'm sort of imagining that is like an import wizard. So you input from a file, right? And then just a little box can pop up and it's saying, do you want to import the entire config, or just do you want to import the this particular bank? And you could just browse the banks, click the ones that you want, say where they're going, and then it'll just sort of bring those particular banks. And same for foot switches, you could sort of break it down and open it up and say, I want that foot switch, and any messages and all the associated config will just load into your existing profile.
Yeah, it's a good time to tell people about the API. If there's any tech heads out there who are really interested in that kind of thing, the files that the editor spits out are JSON files, which are actually really readable because the API is super cool. And Sam has done a really good job building that. And yeah, to an extent, if you wanted to bother learning it, you could open JSON files in a JSON viewer and copy and paste individual banks, and then import it back into the editor, right, Sam?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can do that if you
want to.
So
in the meantime, if you really want to get into the nitty gritty, you can definitely get files off other people and just copy paste or cut and paste banks.
Yeah, so there's a link on our Learn page to learning to the API. I believe so.
In the footer. Is it in the footer?
Yeah, it's sort of not for everyone.
No.
Do you know where it's linked?
There at the moment. No, maybe it got lost in the bunch of new changes that I've made to that site in the last few days.
GitHub.com/device.
It'd be
Yeah, I know what's what.
We got some new messages. Oh, from YouTube. That's good.
Oh, sorry about that in non-dark mode, y'all, but it is what it is. So yeah, if you go into here, we need to flesh it out a little bit more, I know, but all the information's in the wiki, and you've got documentation for how to use the device API, and that's basically the foundation of how the device communicates with the app and everything else. Quickly, Steve, bank changes in the editor don't seem to change the bank on my bridge. Yeah, that's right. It's not actually sending those bank changes. It's so you can peruse there, where one of the big things that we have planned is sort of completely live, synchronized, between the device and the editor as an option. So yeah, that's coming for sure. But yeah, on the device API, this is how the editor, everything to do with the way the editor works or communicates with the device can be found here. So there's a bit of conversation about, that text-based adventure game, that YouTube video I shared. That wasn't made by me. That was just made by one of our awesome community members who kind of took this and just ran with it in full creativity mode. So the bank settings, you're wanting to toggle the bank settings, you just send these kind of JSON key pairs and away you go. So this is what an example packet for a device looks like. So if you're this is basically one bank. So this is what some of the different settings looks like, and you could just go and change these and sort of send them to the device yourself if you so choose, all the various foot switch options, so on and so forth. So very cool stuff. Well, I might talk about a couple of firmware things then. We're going to do some blog posts and more content on this with where we're going. But it's probably a good time to talk about that, seeing as I promised someone talking about device links. So we have got a lot planned for firmware updates. And now that the editor app's out, it's going to be full steam ahead. So I've clustered together update plans based on kind of functionality grouping mostly. So what I mean by that is a lot of discussion about how we can improve MIDI clocks and make that time-based synchronization even better. So there's going to be a big update on MIDI clocks and the motion engine on board Bridge. So we're going to have an entire update plan on it. So what's next? The next release is going to be mostly stability. Any bug fixes brought up during the editor, no doubt there's going to be edge cases that we just didn't catch in initial testing. So we're going to be handling that. If you submit any bug reports, they'll get folded into that next firmware update, probably in the next week or two, once enough folks have had enough time to have a play around with it. Oh, here you go. Hey, buddy. Good morning. Hey, sorry about that, folks. We've got a little pirate here coming to say hello. Hey, mate. Did you wait for your son on your clock to be awake? Good point.
No, still.
Hey.
Oh no, star. A snow star.
We still use that.
Yeah.
They're great.
Oh, dude, we got a secondhand for $5. It's awesome. Can you wave hello?
Yeah.
Say hi, Simon. Look at Simon. Yeah, you love Simon, don't you? All right, I'll be out in a little bit, mate. Okay.
No.
Yeah, can you go with Mummy? Could you have Mummy some toast?
All right, Mike.
Sorry about that.
Updated firmware and getting this error on the editor for both of my Bridge 6 units. Error connecting and loading data failed. Expected double quote of property name. So I'm assuming, Mike, that you updated using the app that we just released. and that you're up to date with version 1.1.
Sorry, real quick, Simon.
Yeah.
Did you update from a non-beta version? Did you update from like 1.0.3 or something earlier? Because if so, you will unfortunately need to do a factory reset on your device. That was one of the stipulations in moving to 1.1 and further, and why we also had it in beta for some time.
Yeah. And yeah, that's in the instructions for the firmware updating on the learn.pirate site as well. Just checked.
Nice. Anyway, yeah, little distraction grenade. He was funny. With firmware updates, yeah, so we're going to have a bug fix release and sort of just some small fixes like that coming out in a week or two. Then we are probably going to be hitting the MIDI clock based.
Just update. Quickly, Mike, to do a factory reset, hold down foot switch 1 while you're powering on the Bridge 6. You'll see a bunch of white LEDs. You can let go of foot switch 1 when the white LEDs turn off.
Yep. Hold it for about 7 seconds. So we're going to be updating what we call the motion engine, which is everything to do with the MIDI clocks, LFOs, all that sort of thing. There's some extra features and functionality that we're going to be adding to the LFOs. We're going to be adding a whole bunch of stuff to MIDI clocks, including granularities. So in other words, what level of accuracy can the MIDI clock sort of snap to or round to? So you might not want 0.1 beats per minute precision. You might want it just to go to the nearest BPM, or maybe the nearest 5 BPM. So we're adding that. We're adding per bank MIDI clock tempo presets for both the MIDI clocks. We're adding randomization of shapes as well as external modulation parameters to the LFOs. It's going to be a big list. So I'm going to put some of those new features up before the firmware gets released, so that people can chime in and have their say on any other suggestions. So that's going to be the first one. The first kind of big feature release. Then we're going to do a device link focused firmware update. And there may be, bug fixes and small patches released in between here as well. But in terms of big milestones, device link's next. Device link actually works now. It's in the firmware and is sort of like a beta available in the firmware. You can connect 2 devices. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, take 2 devices. You put flexi ports in device link mode on them. You assign one as the master, and the rest are like slave peripheral units. And your master basically synchronizes the rest of your devices. So if we go into, I'm just going to do this in global settings, the FlexiPort settings, we'll put FlexiPort 1 mode as device link. Save and close. Oh, hang on. Global settings. FlexiPort settings. I just realized, Simon, we're missing the device link config page.
Yeah, I was watching that as well. Yeah,
I think we're missing it because it just needs a test version.
Yeah,
that's entirely UI.
Master
that's
and
easy.
slave. Yeah. Just needs a master and slave drop down when you select that FlexiPort mode.
Easy enough to do. So put that in the master mode. So I'll show you my device now.
The reason that got overlooked is because we don't really use device link at the moment. It's sort of in hibernation a little.
I'll explain why it's sort of a bit vague. All right. So device link. You'll see on my FlexiPort indicators there and filled in M. That means master device. And if you have a slave device, it will be slaved. That you connect a TRS cable between devices, adding daisy chain support. For now, it's just between 2 devices, and they basically will act as one big unit. You can synchronize and share bank names, like banking actions and navigation and all that sort of stuff. It's really cool. It does work now. There's a bug, and that is basically there's a very strange case in the way that the chipset handles UART packet and framing errors, if that means anything to you. But it just means that if you get like some noise in your cable or some jitter, it can disconnect, and it'll disconnect that device link, and then resetting it just isn't quite as smooth as possible. So if you power on and power off your units, then yeah, it'll kind of alleviate that until it disconnects again. So we're aware of that, but we're going to be bringing a big device link update for you guys all. Then just trying to think, there was one other big firmware milestone I wanted to chat about, and I've lost it. I had it written down somewhere. Where is it? While I'm thinking of it, Alec, when running 2 bridges, say a 6 and a 4 together, any issues logging in with 2 separate emails and running 2 windows side by side? Yeah, I haven't tried it. It shouldn't be any issues. Let us know how you go with that, Alec. Take it away, Simon. I'm going to just draw some tissues with my nose.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, Alec, most of the time the app is running in its self-contained tab there, and then it connects to a specific serial device that it links to by name. So when you're editing a bridge 4 template, it will only connect to a bridge 4, and same with a bridge 6 when you're doing a bridge 6 template. So you shouldn't be having any problems with 2 different tabs, I don't think, but let us know if you find any problems. Patrick, how do you program for 2 bridge 6s device linked? Like Sam said, huge ideas for device link planned for a couple of big updates. So at the moment,
that's right.
The programming is just as standard, and device link synchronizes bank names and does bank changes.
I might just jump in on here quickly,
yeah,
Simon.
Yeah, sure.
So just to clarify, so with device link, one really nice thing is each device fully retains its own config and sort of identity. So all the message stacks aren't just sort of one pool. Or when you disconnect them, they will continue to function like 2 separate devices. The way that device link is intended to work and does work now is all of the common things that would allow it to work as one unit get synchronized. So you can choose this. You can choose what gets synchronized. So banking actions, you can say whether you want them to bank together or not, which typically you might. Sharing the bank name from the master device, all that sort of stuff. But you do get independent foot switch stacks and everything else. So you can say, well, you could use them on 2 different boards as well. So there might be one on one board, one on the other board, but you want them to have the same bank, share those banking navigation functions and all that sort of stuff. But then when you're only using one of the boards, it sort of does also work standalone as well. So it's sort of 2 separate devices, but then you bring them together like a weird Voltron kind of mishmash. And then they sort of just say, oh, cool, well, you get the power of 2 bridge 6s, but they just seamlessly work together. Cool. You've been taking care of
if you've got specific ideas for stuff, by all means, go over to the Discord, go to the feature requests forum and post your ideas. People can comment and upvote, that kind of thing. It's really helpful. It's half the reason that these features are so cool now, is because we just like talking to you guys about how it should work. And we have lots of great input.
Absolutely. That is an interesting suggestion there, Patrick. So if you wanted a 12 switch editor patch, you would need 2 editors set up side by side. For now, yeah. There is definitely some things I want to explore though, where I'd really like and it's probably a little ways down the road, when we do release that device link update, a little ways down the road, months, not years or anything, but where you can create this kind of custom layout of how your devices are, configured and connected up together, and then you can sort of edit them as one seamless device. Matthias, you say +1 for full keyboard navigation. I think you're referring to your ticket in Discord where you want to be able to plug a keyboard into your bridge. I did reply to you on that. That's not going to happen. That's not.
Or he might be referring to keyboard shortcuts for all the buttons and next and previous and all that in the editor.
Got you. If that is what I'm so sorry. it was just regarding your post. With your post, you can't connect your keyboard to the bridge because that's what
he means in the
editor.
Yeah, he means in the editor.
This time in the editor. Gotcha. Then absolutely. That's third big milestone. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be adding, and I've already been playing around with it. It's working well in some beta testing.
Help! Sorry. Do you know why that happens? Because this does have keyboard shortcuts.
Nice. We're going to be adding a HID profile to the bridge in firmware. So the way this is really cool is, as well as a MIDI device, it will show up as a keyboard. And when you're adding your messages, let's go to press, be sort of device library custom. You can choose a keyboard, message or a smart message, most likely in smart message. It'll actually, keystroke, but not only one keystroke. You'll actually get three different keystrokes. You can create macros, so you can Control Alt Delete from your bridge all day long. So rather than just a single letter, one smart message can be three combined keystrokes. Yeah, absolutely.
Alt F4. And then you can send your template to your best friend.
No, as a side note, I just realized, imagine setting up a bridge with that, and every foot switch sends Alt F4 or Command F4, and then selling it on like secondhand or loaning it to a buddy for a gig and not wiping that. That's cruel. That's awful. There's sort of the big three things.
Just plugging it in their pedal board.
Yeah, they're the big three things we're going to be hitting. So we're going to be updating the motion engine, which encapsulates LFOs, MIDI clocks, all that sort of stuff, device link, and then also adding full keyboard integration and support. So my intention my intention is definitely to have two bridge 6s side by side on one board linked for a big control surface. Yeah, for sure. So the way that'll work is for now, or you can go play around with it. I'd encourage you to just give it a go and let me know how it works for you, because it may vary device to device. But all the identity is retained separately, and even with a combined editor, I'd say the way it'll probably work is, let's pretend this is two bridge 4s, but two bridge 6s, is you'll have two little bridge 4 wireframes next to each other. And then you can kind of, select foot switch for that one, foot switch for that one, and the UI will show two bridge 4s, but in terms of how you would navigate it, you can just, click at will, click on the other foot switch, away you go, and it'll sort of be a good balance of showing the independentness of them, but also you can edit them both and visualize them at the same time. So that should be really nice. There is a small technical aspect to that, in the sense that with the way web editors work, you're connecting to a hardware device, and typically the Chrome window that you're in only allows you to connect to one hardware device of that type at a time.
That'd be pretty easy. You just say send device 1 config, and then you just do it without the device plugged into the computer. You just make sure you plug device 1 in when it comes to send to device, and then you do send device 2 and then plug that one in.
No, I mean, you probably should be able to have them both plugged in, and have it store which device is sort of which. Particularly
because the USB name that you can set on the device actually shows up in the Chrome dialog.
Yeah, that's right. So one nice thing, if you weren't aware, in it's not here.
I don't know if I have. No, because we did the wireframes before we added that feature.
We did too. So we'll have to update. Just make a note of that.
Making a good list.
Yeah, that's right. It's not until you try it's like the rubber ducky, until you try and talk through someone else, like talk to someone else through what you're doing. You realize what you're doing. So on board the device, you can change this. We'll update the editor to reflect this. You can set a device name, and that will actually show up in the USB device. It actually sets the device descriptor name, which is really cool. Is it, from Patrick again, is it possible to do serial over FlexiPort such that one could program the other? Technically. So the Facebook user, it doesn't show the Facebook username in Discord, so I'm sorry. You're probably someone I know quite well.
I'll tell you who it is. It is
thank you.
Folsom.
I was about to put money on it that it's Michael. Okay, so same question. Technically, yes. I'm going to say... Yeah, but then, so one particular issue you get with that, Patrick, is you're only showing up... Let me think about it. Like, there's nothing technically stopping that from happening. There's just a lot of complexity and edge case catching and bug testing. So I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to happen like that.
Yeah, as a one-man team, it's difficult to make that a priority when you could just plug it in.
I was actually thinking about this the other day, though.
Classic.
Well, I'll give you the reason why. One thing we're looking at changing is moving. Well, I want to move away from using a serial terminal interface for the communication to just MIDI and using sysx packets. So that doesn't change that much. You basically just take your packet, if you know how system exclusive messages work, and you wrap it around this, system exclusive messenger. So you have a termination packet and then a very small header at the start to indicate that it's a system exclusive message. I want to get rid of that. Sorry, turn it to only going full MIDI rather than serial terminal. The way we did it as a serial device is to make it just play a little bit nicer with Chrome, but also enable people to kind of more easily create their own editors and things like that with it. But I think we've overcome most of the technical hurdles with that. We want to change to it sends it over MIDI instead of serial. Really just different ways to skin a cat. What that does enable is sending config packets entirely through a device link connection. So I'm actually not going to fully decline that because I think it is a really cool use case. So it may be, maybe possible. And Matthias, you're just saying, all the stuff doing now through the editor with a mouse versus a keyboard. Sure, I think... I don't mean any disrespect by this, but you're probably in the minority there. I think so many people are used to that point-click navigation. But I do get what you mean that, it would be nice to have some keyboard shortcuts for playing around with that. So, yeah, we'll look into it for sure. Yeah.
Particularly for when you're in the switch settings and you've got the switch, like next switch, previous switch buttons down the bottom, just being able to do that with arrow keys or a couple of letters or whatever. I've been using a lot of Shopify lately, and they do that so well. Just having a letter or a keyboard shortcut for different buttons, it's really
helpful. Simon,
yeah,
a custom Pirate MIDI editor keyboard overlay.
For MacBooks, like that silicon.
Well, you release a silicon top, and then also like dye sublimation keycaps.
Keycaps, ceramic keycaps. Oh yeah. No.
No. I think not. So yes to the keyboard thing, to us releasing our own keycaps just for the editor. No, I don't think that will be happening. Cool. Well, how's everyone going? There's some people who dropped off. Presumably they've seen all they need to see. They're having fun with the editor and everything else. Patrick, I didn't realize you were a dev. In the chat if you want, but just shoot me a message. I'd love to touch base with you, like learn more about the stuff you do. You should jump into the device, the API dev channel in Discord and check that out. You probably love it. Yeah. Do you guys have any other questions? Like, we're happy to keep this stream going as long as needed. That was the idea, so we could answer these questions and help you guys out if you're having trouble. But if you don't, then I'll go have some breakfast and then come right back to my desk and build some devices to send to you all. That is one thing I wanted to chat about. If you are waiting on your bridge order or like a pre-order, or you're waiting for us to have more stock, because we did suspend sales for a time so we could just focus on the editor. It's coming really soon. We're waiting for a big shipment of enclosures from our factory for those. And it's just I don't know if you're aware. So the enclosures are assembled through our manufacturer in China. Really, really nice, nice guys to do business with. There is some kind of wild stuff happening in China. So we were actually expecting to have those now, but I believe they probably should be shipping to us maybe this week. So we're going to have those soon for you guys. They're going to get expressed to us. Then we're going to have plenty of Bridge 6s and Bridge 4s available probably in 4 to 6 weeks for you guys to have available. So it says shipping Q4, so we're actually going to come in sort of, we should be able to get those out around the end of November as a loose date, I'd say. We're building up stock for our clicks and microlips for the pre-orders. Thank you guys so much. If you want to check those out, it would mean the world. Take a look on our site. You can get it on that pre-order batch. We have expression doublers coming. We haven't had those for a little while. We're going to have heaps of expression doublers, so you can have you can send 2 expression pedals per flexi port. So you can have 4 expression pedals per bridge if you wanted to, or share them across different bridges, however you want to do that. And we've also got mini through gizmos coming back in stock and heading to some retailers as well. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, very exciting.
Is there anything else?
Just in case people didn't know, you probably do, but we released full 75-page user manual PDFs for the Bridge 6 and Bridge 4, which is relevant to this firmware update we've just released. Having mentioned that USB device name thing, that's not in there. So I'll be releasing a new version of the user manual soon, by the sounds of things.
Mike Moore, you said thanks for answering my questions. That is exactly what we're here for.
Yeah, that's what the stream's for. Thank you for all coming. We're really pleased that you guys are excited for it after all this time. It's been a long time since the Kickstarter. 2020, hey, what a year. What did we do? I don't understand how bad that timing was. But at the same time, because of you guys, we are still here. We're still working. It's really cool, and we're very grateful. Yeah, was watching while completing Sunday chores. About to update and give it a try. Really looking forward to it. Strymon Night Sky and Meris LVX are now on my fancy board.
What a killer combo. You put in some press messages,
jealous.
You go device, library, effects, you go to, where are the good folks at Meris Audio?
I don't have an LVX in there. Is that the new one?
It's been out for a while. Does it have soft design mapping? Well, I
maybe.
Sorry,
don't remember.
Oversight. Yep, we'll chuck Meris in there. It's just we rely on you guys saying, hey, this particular thing's missing.
Go to the Night Sky instead.
Yeah, we'll get.
He has a Night Sky.
But Night Sky command. Look at all of those commands that you can configure. The Strymon MIDI mapping is actually very thorough. It's quite nice.
They're very good.
All of that stuff. Love it. I cannot overstate how bad my hay fever is. Pretty much every stream I'm complaining about it, so I'm sorry for that. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, Dave. So good to have you, mate. And for everyone else, Mike Moore was saying, thanks for answering my questions. Thank you for tuning in. We rely so much on you guys, our community, to make this possible. So yeah, can't thank you all enough for just bearing with us, being patient, helping us get to this point. I know it's probably seemed like this year we've just been sitting on our thumbs a little bit and twiddling, but it could not be farther from the truth. And in fact, a lot of what we've been doing has been just really foundational architecture level stuff, such that we can roll out editor updates and firmware updates like way quicker than it should be possible, because we built so much of that foundation over the year. And yeah, we're really, really excited to be sharing all that sort of stuff with you guys. Dave, you just said try logging in on edit.piratemidi and get no error message, no reaction at all. Okay.
Yep, GenLoss Mark II is in there as well. Did that the other day.
Yeah, GenLoss 2 is there.
That's got some cool MIDI mappings too.
Interesting. Yeah, if you are having issues logging in, obviously make sure that there's no sensitive information in it. But please, Chuck created only one new forum thread. And Chuck, if everyone could put the issues they're having in there, we weren't able to replicate any of those or see any issues on our side. But perhaps there's some issues with different geolocations and stuff. So put them up there and we'll take a look.
Yeah, our devs will be able to see.
They're Australian devs.
So they
don't wake up at 5 a.m. every day.
They're in Sam's neck of the woods, so they'll be able to look at the back end and see if anything funky's gone down with all you people using it.
Indeed. Cool. Well, we'll give it another minute or two for any sort of stragglers to tune in, and yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it seems that the -2 octave thing, basically, their naming convention used in the app goes to -1. But on the device, it's using the other naming convention. So there are two different note numbering systems. One of them, like C.
It just depends on where middle C is oriented.
Yeah, that's right. C3 or C4. I think it's Yamaha, and I can't remember the other brand.
Yamaha's C3, isn't it?
I can't remember, but yeah, one of them changed it and were really annoying.
I actually maybe wouldn't mind switching to what I believe is Yamaha, where it's C3 is middle C. I actually also think that way. I thought it was that. I haven't added a note on message in a little while. We'll take a look, see what makes the most sense. But yeah. It's sending the same MIDI, message.
He's using the same account as with the main site. Is that supposed to work? No.
No, they're separate. Yeah, they're separate accounts. The main site is created sort of using the e-commerce platform, and it's there for remembering your addresses. I know it seems like there should be the one account, but there's a reason they're not, because one account is going to handle potentially sensitive personal information and shipping and everything like that. The other account is not used for anything like that. It's purely so that you have a place where you can store profiles and custom device library and things like that as we're adding them in. Steve, after importing from the device, making a few changes, and then trying to send to the device, the screen goes gray and then nothing happens. Interesting. Steve, did you import from the device? So you'll have that kind of captured. Could you maybe just try a device, just a factory reset on your device? A factory reset on your device, then reconnect it, and then send that to the device again, and let me know if that works. If that doesn't work, chuck a post up in the support forum, and I'll take a look for you.
It's also possible that that reconnecting, the editor, if you refresh the page, the changes you've made will be lost, unfortunately. But sometimes just trying again, it does just work. There's some.
But you can export those to a file.
Yeah, if he's tried to export and the screen's just gone gray, he's not going to have access to that export to file button. If he refreshes the page, that'll be gone, unfortunately. Yeah, we thought it sounds a bit like some bugs we were playing with a few weeks ago that we hadn't seen any of for the last week. But it could be something completely different. So yeah, by all means, do what you can to send us some info.
But you won't have lost your your config or setup, because you could bring it into the editor. You'll have that captured. Just export it to a file.
That's a good comment, Dave, about having a message there saying that this is a separate account from our e-commerce site.
Yeah, it's a great suggestion for sure. Makes a lot of sense.
I think we'll do that. I'll put that here in the note.
Awesome. Oh, hey, buddy, I'm almost done, and then we'll have some toast. How about that? All right. Well, it sounds like everything's kind of wrapping up a little bit anyway. Hey, buddy.
I was gonna make some toast.
Can you go make some toast with Mummy? I'm about to come out, mate. Have some breakfast.
What about some Weet-Bix?
But yeah, if you guys, so we'll probably wrap the stream up here. I think it seems like everyone's kind of jumped in, had a chance to play around and ask some questions. If you've got more questions though, like again, we prefer Discord as a platform for support, if for no other reason than we can get back to you a lot quicker, and it captures that experience and that question that you've had and allows other people to learn from it, right? So you know, the less time that we have to spend answering the same question, the more time we can spend developing new firmware features and editor and all that sort of things. For pulling my headphones out, bud, and all that stuff for you guys. So it just really simplifies and streams things up. And then there's a catalog of support forum topics that people can search through and get help. You know, maybe if Simon and I are both offline, but you know, by all means, we'll definitely still help you out over email or Facebook or whatever it is. But yeah, you want some trains? That train, fair enough. So loves trains. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for coming to hang out with us and explore the editor. It's been so exciting to share what we've been up to with you guys. Do you have anything else to chip in with, Simon?
No, I sure don't. My MacBook battery, as good as it is, has done a hard slog today and is ready for bed, just like me. Thanks everyone for coming.
I'm also ready
sign
for
off
bed.
there, hey Sam.
6:30 a.m. Yeah, for sure. Cool. I'll be around. So Simon's gonna be crashing out. I'll be around all day today. So just get in touch, and yeah, I'll help you out if you got any issues.
Awesome. All right. Thanks everybody. Bye.
Adios.